So it looks like we got some good news and it looks like we got some bad news, right? So let's go ahead and start with the bad news. It looks like Tag is going to temporarily suspend some of their grading options or grading submissions that you guys might have access to. And look, I know PSA fanboys are going to go ahead and use this opportunity to bash on Tag, right? Because PSA literally doesn't stop you guys from submitting any cards. They'll just go ahead and take your money and make you wait even longer, right? Because that's the morally thing to do. Now, Tag, the piece of shit company that Tag is, right? Will go ahead and suspend some of their grading submissions or some of the grading submission options, so therefore they can go ahead and maintain their turnover rate, right? Trying to stay as close as possible to those lines, to those days, right? To those projected estimated delivery dates. That's the bad news. The good news, I get to drink this beautiful spicy barbecue soda and talk to you guys about this and seeing the opportunity that we could actually use. Oh, that just sounded so good. To some of the perfect opportunity that this might create for us if you guys are deciding to grade with Tag. And I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, if you're anything like me who have already graded with Tag, or you guys follow Tag on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't know if they do Facebook. I don't use Facebook, right? On Twitter, X, OnlyDance, whatever. They went ahead and put a statement out there, and I'm gonna pop it up right now. But it's very simple, right? Here's gonna be the general thing, like the general outline, a summary, if you will, right? But this is like the big picture, right? Tag is experiencing massive growth and is currently overwhelmed by demand, which is impacting turnaround times. And I'm telling you, I think Tag really cares more about turnaround times than the consistency of grading. And not because they're not consistent, it's because they don't rely on people to grade. They use AI, right? They use machines, they use equipment, so they're expanding on that. And oh, there we go. I think that's a lot better. And so they care more about the turnaround time because that is their customer service, that is their delivery, right? Here are some key stats about it. Overall growth. Tag has experienced 131% growth since January of 2025 till now April of 2026. Priority and walkthrough submissions have increased by 800%. Basic and standard submissions have increased by 127%. Demand is exploding, especially for their higher tier services. And like I said before, like I see a very good situation where you guys are grading with the higher tiers to try to get your cards back faster. If you guys pull a chase card from one of the newer sets to try to maximize your guys' value, your maximal gains, margins, if you guys are into that. If you guys grade through Tag for your PC, well then that's completely different, right? So in one of those previous episodes, we did talk about how Tag is now operating at 24/7, and that really hasn't changed. They're working every single day, 24 hours, and they went ahead and hired more people, but they still can't keep up with the incoming submissions. And this kind of makes sense because we've seen a lot more on social media, more PSA slander. I'm all about it. People are disliking PSA and everything they stand for, and they've gone through Tag. And it's interesting, look, CGC submissions and Beckett submissions have gone up. CGC is interesting, right? But it's because it's a cheaper alternative. And look, it's your money. If you want to go with a cheaper product, absolutely go for it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not anyone to tell you how to spend your money, right? But that is still subjective grading. Subjective grading, well, it's biased by the person. We want to get grades back by AI so that we know at least the real, most unbiased standard, unless AI really does like certain Pokemon even more, right? Like maybe Porygon, Magneton, any other machine made Pokemon, and then it makes sense if they gave higher grades on those cards, but they don't, right? Or natural acknowledgement. But this is what Tag is doing about it. They're moving into a larger facility. They're hiring more aggressive across all departments, and they're expanding their equipment and grading infrastructure. Now, expanding on the grading, their equipment and grading infrastructure, I think that's a good sign. Because here's the thing, like Tag is not hiring professional graders who graduate from Grading 101 University or Grading Tech like PSA or CGC, right? And look, makes sense. I really never heard about those universities because they don't exist. That kind of really shows you the flaw that grading is whenever you're grading with PSA or CGC. It is subjective, it's human based, but there is no university, there's no accreditation to be a professional grader. And look, I'm not trying to slander the people who do that for a living, right? But you get what I'm getting at? Like, you're only a professional because you're working in that environment, not because you have a brilliant resume or a high GPA because you did grading 101 courses or anything like that. Which I wonder if that's something that's ever going to happen down the road, especially as TCG and grading continue to explode and take it like a bigger market share of the TCG market, right? Um, but due to this kind of things, they went ahead and paused basic and standard submissions, which are going to be your lowest entry level submissions. We're talking about the $22 one and the $39 one. And it kind of hurts, right? I'm not going to lie, it kind of hurts, but they're doing this so it doesn't affect their reputation. Like, they rather pause it, like, hey, we're expanding, we're getting more equipment, we're trying to be more professional so we can go ahead and be able to maintain this high volume of submissions, of grading, and get it back to you at a reasonable time. And it's one of those things that me and Tag Show constantly talk about because he sends more submissions to Tag than I do, right? And he gives me updates. It's like, oh, I'm here, I'm in this stage. Like, it looks like I'm not gonna get it back at 45 days. I might get it at 45 days. And it's interesting, right? Because one of the things I really loved about Tag, and I still do, is they're quicker than PSA. But however, as more people keep jumping into Tag, it's starting to get affected. But so why did they pause it? Why did they suspend basic and standard submissions? Well, they don't want to accept any orders they can't deliver on. I'm telling you, that turnaround time frame is extremely important to them, and at least they're letting you know as part of their grading model. They're being transparent with their customers, with the people, with the loyalists. Um, and they want to go ahead and focus on clearing out some of the backlog so that way it's back to the people that originate on. And honestly, I think that's fantastic. I think it's crazy that we've gotten to the point in the TCG market, in the TCG world, in the grading, that a brand new company that everyone's shitting on has to pause so they can go ahead and get you back their product just because of how popular they are. As these people, these PSA fanboys, they hate on Tag, they will take any opportunity to shit on it. But here you go, showing that Tag is here to stay. They are definitely increasing their facility, their infrastructure, so they can deliver on their good product. But if you still want to go ahead and grade with Tag, you still have some options. You can still go ahead and grade through Express, Priority, and walk through tiers. And that's good. That's good. You can still grade through them, and I think that's fantastic. But honestly, if you're looking to go ahead and grade a lot of cards from your PC, or if you're looking to go ahead and grade some cards to go ahead and flip, because cards do sell, I think this is a fantastic time to source cards. Especially as the market is as hot as it is. And right now, it seems like the market is kind of stagnant, except for like Ascended Heroes. I think this is a fantastic time to go to your shops, to go to your vendors, to go to conventions and try to source as many cards as possible. However, that is not the only way that you can source cards. Today it's a special episode, or it's one of my favorite episodes when I get to collaborate with one of our subscribers, with one of our channel partnerships. We're going to go ahead and invite Tag Show into our channel. He's going to speak to you guys about sourcing cards. I believe he said like 3 different ways that you guys can source cards, and I think this is fantastic if you're new into the hobby and if you're new into getting with grading, because we already talked about Tag does sell. Tag Show already talked about this. You can go ahead and move it on eBay. People will buy it, and we like the quality control that the AI grading gives us, right? But now, so you already thought about, okay, I really want to go ahead and grade with Tag. Now, what should I do? How should I approach this? Where do I get my cards? And this is where Tag Show is going to go ahead and educate you guys, and we both get to listen to him and build up upon this, right? So with any further interruptions, hold on, let me get it ready. Let's start today's episode on sourcing your cards.
What's going on, guys? Tag Shill here. And Dan asked me my thoughts about sourcing cards to grade with tag or, God forbid, PSA, BGS, or CGC. So I'm going to talk about that here today. I will say this, I love to rip packs, but I think most of us understand that that's just not sustainable in 2026 in today's Pokemon market. It's not sustainable to rip packs and to find cards, but you know, I do get that itch sometimes, but it's become harder and harder to do that. It used to be about like 50% of the way that I got cards to grade was from packs that I would rip myself. I used to rip a lot. Just can't do it anymore. It's not smart, even though I love to do it. So with that out of the picture, I have to buy singles in order to source my cards that I want to grade personally. So I'm going to talk about 3 options that I see for sourcing graded cards by buying singles. And I'm going to start with the worst. Now, the worst option for buying singles to grade is going to be none other than TCGplayer. TCGplayer, on like 99% of the time, they don't have pictures. Every once in a while you find one with a picture, but for the most part, they don't have pictures, and that's an automatic no for me. You got to see the card, right? How can you buy a card and expect to grade it when you haven't even seen it, you're going to pay the money and all of that? That's just an automatic no. Now, these cards are going to be listed as near mint, but there's something you need to understand about near mint listed cards, is that on a grading scale, when it comes to grading cards, on a grading scale, a near mint card is a 7. So whether it be tag or PSA, for the PSA fanboys out there, a 7 in either of those two companies is listed as near mint. So when you're buying a card and you haven't even seen the card and they list it as near mint, they can send you a 7 quality card. Think about what a 7 is inside of a slab. Think about the condition that you've seen in a slab that's a 7. And they can send you that condition card, and they're not lying to you. They're not scamming you. They're not gypping you. They're just doing what they said they would do. They're sending you a near mint card. You need better than near mint. You need gem mint. You need pristine cards. You need some black label cards. You hear me? So when it comes to TCGplayer, they're mostly just going to be sending you bottom of the barrel cards. Cards that pass as near mint, but they don't have pictures or anything. It's kind of TCGplayer. It just reminds me of that churn and burn. You know, it's a lot of stores and guys who are running stores out of their houses and stuff. And they just, I mean, even the way they ship cards a lot of times, if you bought stuff off of TCGplayer, the way they ship cards, you know that they don't really just take the best care of their cards, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying you'll never get a 10. If you bought 50 cards from TCGplayer, are you going to get all 7s? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'll probably get a range of cards, but how many 10s are you going to get? Like, if you bought 50 cards, how many 10s are you going to get? I don't know. You might get lucky and get a couple, but that's not the smart way to go about it. That's not the smart way to source cards. All right.
So, look, he's absolutely right. Whenever you guys are looking to source cards and maybe you don't have like local shops or local conventions, or maybe you're out of state, so the best way that you guys can go ahead and get cards sometimes is going to be online. Now, TCGplayer makes it very easy in the way that you can go ahead and look for cards and go ahead and buy them. But I strongly do believe that TCGplayer is more for players, for actual people who play the TCG games. Now, if you're watching this channel, that's not you. I don't think it's you guys. It's mostly for collectors, people who collect cards, people who grade with tag, and just people who really enjoy the hobby in cardboard form or cardboard inside of plastic. And that is completely okay. But whenever you guys are buying cards through TCG, please understand that yes, their prices might a little bit lower. Yes, there's going to be some vendors that you guys can buy multiple cards, right? Some vendor might have like 5 or 6 cards of the one that you want, so you can go ahead and buy them out, right? But you're probably not going to be getting a 10 out of that. You might, especially if it's one of those cards that are like maybe $1, $2 cards, right? Because a lot of people don't want to grade those cards, but maybe you do because there's a sentimental reason for that. Maybe you're trying to go after Shinji Kanda art. Maybe you're trying to go for one of the other low-rated artists. Like me, I'm a big Tetsukayama fan, and if you don't know who that is, I mean, just look at Tetsukayama cards. He does like pointillism art on their cards, and it's fantastic. My favorite card from him has to be the Noctowl from Stellar Miracle, the promo card. It is a beautiful looking card, and I regret selling that tag 10 Noctowl that I had. I regret it. Oh my god, I do. But that's part of this hobby. Sometimes you love things, sometimes you let them go, and if you love things and you let them go, they're supposed to come back. It hasn't came back. It really hasn't came back. But that's besides the point, right? Whenever you guys are buying stuff from TCGplayer, please understand that if you're buying stuff at blind, because if they have no pictures, you're probably not going to get very good quality cards. Now, for grading, probably not a good move. Now, if you're looking to build your inventory so you guys can vend down the road, then yeah, go with TCGplayer. Go ahead and buy look for the vendors who probably sell the most amount of copies of said card, so you guys can go ahead and maximize your margins just by buying one person and just one shipping cost, right? Rather than buying from multiple different vendors and having to pay the shipping separately for every single vendor. But that's besides the point. That's vending 101. I don't do vending, right? I just do grading. I just talk shit about PSA. So that's out of my expertise. But maybe if you talk to no, actually, I don't think Tag Shill vends, but maybe he does. I mean, I'm planning of doing it later down the road, but that's besides the point. We're not there yet. So I agree with them. Buying cards for grading off TCGplayer is going to be the lowest. Don't do it unless you want to get burned. Don't do it unless you want to go ahead and donate your money somewhere else. But if you want to go ahead and donate your money, then please think about subscribing to my Only Dan's account. It's fantastic. You guys will love it. But let's continue with the video to his second way that he likes to source cards.
Right. Number 2. I'd say this is the second best option, but at the same time, it's the option that I use the most. This is my favorite option, even though it's only the second best option. And that's eBay. eBay can be a mixed bag, but at least it's a standard on eBay to have pictures of your cards. So that's huge for me. You got to see the card, right? Right out the gate. Come on. So there are still several things to look out for on eBay. Now, people are going to upload pictures like they were taken on my flip phone back in the early 2000s, okay? It's 2026. Y'all need to get your shit together. I don't know what's going on with some of these pictures on eBay, but they're like fuzzy. Whatever. Moving on. So it's just a bad idea buying any card. You can't even see the quality of the card because it's like pixelated or fuzzy. It's a bad idea. Red flag right there. Another eBay red flag is going to be when people use the stock image of a card. So you can obviously tell that the card is like the picture from TCGplayer or something, and they just right click and download that, and they put it in their listing. They don't even take the pictures or take the time to take the pictures, upload the card, upload to their listing or anything like that. That's a red flag. Another red flag is going to be when hey, the pictures look great. The front of the card picture, ooh, it looks great, pristine. You look at the back of the card, oh, it looks great. The camera quality, everything is good. And then you go down to look, you're looking at the price and stuff, and you notice that they have multiple listings. They have 3 available. So which one of those 3 are the pictures of? In reality, the ones that they're taking pictures of is probably in the dude's PC, And then that's the one he's keeping, and he's selling you his spares. So when they've got 3 listed for a price, and then they got 1 set of pictures, that's a red flag. Another red flag is going to be when they don't post a picture of the back of the card. This is like fairly common. They'll have the front of the card, you click on, you go in to look at the card, and they don't have a picture of the back of the card. Or the card is in a deck sleeve, so it doesn't have a transparent back of the sleeve, and then some people even give you a picture of the back of the deck sleeve. Like, why do I care? What are you doing? Just don't even take the picture in that case. But anyways, to me, the back is actually kind of the most important, and I'll explain why. Now, I know some companies, favor the front of the card because it's based off of presentation and all of that, but when I'm blowing through cards on eBay, because you have to have patience. So you're on eBay, you're looking through cards, you might have to look through like 50 copies of a card before you settle on which one you're going to buy, right? So you need patience. But the first thing I do is, you've already seen with nearly every listing on eBay, the picture, the very first picture, the preview picture, is of the front of the card. So you can already kind of eyeball the centering before you even click on the card. So you click on the card, you've already kind of eyeballed the centering, and then when you get into the listing, you can still eyeball it real quick. First thing I do is I click on the back of the card. Now, when I click on the back of the card, I instantly eyeball the centering again, and I'm just, measuring the centering by eyeballing it. If it's already passed both the front and the back in that just quick split second of me eyeballing it, I then, zoom in with the eBay tool. You just hover the mouse and it zooms in, and I quickly just look at all four corners really quickly. I'm just looking for whitening immediately. I'll go to one corner, I'll slowly drag to the next corner, slowly drag to the next corner, so on and so forth. You're checking the edging real quick, and I'm doing this very quickly. If it passes, so if it's passed all of that so far, quick eyeball the front, quick eyeball the back, corners, it's already passed. I then zoom out, take a little better look at the back of the card, go back to the front, take a look at the front of the card. If it's a card that I'm interested in, I'll just heart it and I'll watch it. You don't got to buy it right then and there. Go look at more cards. There could be other cards with better conditioning that you'll rather pick up later. Just because this is the first one you saw doesn't mean you got to buy it. Another thing is, if one card's $20, and a lot of people will list cards cheapest to most expensive, right? But one thing to look out for is, just because it's the cheapest card doesn't mean that's the one you should buy to grade it. If a card's $21 and there's just a way better, more pristine copy for $26 or $25, it's much better to buy the copy you're more comfortable with sending in for grading to get a 10. Why save $5 on a card when you're going to get a 9 back and waste your money? Or you can send in the other card that costs you $5 more, and then you get a 10, and then you tenfold your money, because a $20 card could be worth $150 and a 10 or whatever it could be. Don't let your emotions get into it. Sometimes you really want a card. It's for you. It's for you're going to grade it, but it's for your PC. Let's just say the new, Gengar that's out. You really want a copy of the Gengar. You go looking for a Gengar. It's a rare card, so there's only so many of them listed right now. You go through and you're looking, and they all kind of look like they're pretty shady. You don't believe that they'll get 10s. Sometimes you can let your emotions get in the game, and then you just settle on one. Don't settle on one. If you don't believe any of them are 10s, or they're kind of on the fence, just let it go. Come back in a couple of days. Those cards may have gone. New cards will show up. There's a cycle of cards. They're always coming and going. That's why I like eBay a lot, is just because of the numbers that eBay can provide for you. Another thing is to watch out for the pictures on eBay. People get very good at hiding things with the way they take pictures. Now, if they have a card that they already know has heavy centering, say on the right, sometimes they'll take the picture from the left. They'll just tilt the phone a little to the left, so that they're favoring the left side of the card, which has the thinner border, and then the thicker border on the right side is on the far side, and you just tilt it like that, and they'll try to hide the fact that the right side is thicker. And if they can just shave off a couple like centimeters or millimeters of centering, you can get got like that. So that's something to watch out for. Or they'll take a picture and then there's a light, and then the light is gleaming on one of the corners, so you can't really see that corner, but the other three corners look fine. I don't see any whitening, but the light's on that corner, and then you're just like, whatever, I'll get it. And then you get the card in the mail, and lo and behold, behind that gleam from the light that they aimed so easily but perfectly, and then there's a white dot on that corner behind that. And the reason I'm so harsh when I'm looking at these pictures is because people can hide things. And the other thing is, how many times have I bought a card that I don't see any whitening anywhere on it, but then when you get it in the mail and you get it in your hands and you're looking at it, you end up seeing a white dot. So my rule is, I buy cards where I don't see any white dots, because if you let emotions come in, you can convince yourself of things like, the centering kind of looks off, but maybe it'll pass. Or, this one corner has this tiny white dot, but I've seen 10s with a white dot in the corner. I've seen that, so maybe it'll pass. No, you can't do that. Because what I've learned when buying cards on eBay is even on cards where I don't see any white dots, I get them in the mail, and lo and behold, at a certain angle or whatever, you see a little white dot in that corner. So what I do is I assume, even if I can't see any damage, there's a high probability that there may be a white dot on there. So if I can see a white dot, and then I get it in the mail, maybe there's 2 white dots, maybe there's 3 white dots, and then you just can't see them because of the pictures or whatever. Also, don't be afraid to ask for more pictures on eBay. Either they're trying to sell the card, they want money. So they'll be more than happy to send you a couple extra pictures of whatever you're asking for, or they'll ghost you and then you dodge the bullet because they are trying to hide something from you. And they're just gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna help this dude out. I'll just leave it up. Somebody will eventually buy it, whatever. I'll just wait for somebody who's not like, looking for more pictures because obviously they're trying to get a nice looking card. One last trick is to sort your listings by newly listed. Because, and I'll go into this later, I guess, but newly listed are going to be cards that have been gone through less, right? So if you're listing by cheapest to most expensive, these are cards that could have been sitting up there for God knows how long. But if you sort them by newest, these are cards that have been seen by less people. And now there's people who, I don't know, make some sort of living or side gig or, like side hustle off of grading cards on eBay, I mean, I like to do it to try to help pay for my hobby, for what I like to keep in my PC. I like to get some extra cards, send them in with my grading to cover costs of things. So I do search on eBay myself, but if you search at newly listed, you can catch good quality cards that haven't been seen by enough eyeballs, right? Some of the guys who are sifting through all the eBay listings may not have seen these cards yet, and you can get them within minutes of them being listed or something like that. So,
all right, so let's recap on what he said. Yeah, pictures lie, vendors lie, everything online is a lie. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. I use that all the time too. When every single time, like I'm getting, talk to my wife and we talk about certain things, I always tell her, I tell her about my height, like, yeah, I'm like 6 foot, but don't search online. Everything online is AI and it's a fake. No, but besides the point, like for reals, look, eBay can be a fantastic place to go ahead and buy and acquire some of these cards, especially because they do provide pictures. But please understand that you're not dealing with honest people all the time. There are scalpers in this hobby. There is just thieves. There are just people who will sell you fakes. I mean, fakes are kind of running rampant right now in the hobby. And it seems like people do talk about it, but maybe it's not to that degree. And the reason why is because there's a lot of people who still don't believe in grading. Makes sense, right? But there's a good probability that they have a high amount of fakes in their binder, right? In their binder copies, right? And they never find out just because they never get the cards authenticated whenever they go ahead and grade them through any other companies. I mean, probably not CGC because they went ahead and grade like prototype cards and, freshly printed prototype cards. But hey, that's their business model. Yet their numbers keep going high. Their submission numbers keep going high. And then you wonder why their value is slow. And look, I'm not trying to bash on CGC. I think their slabs look great, but you understand there is a scandal there that might hurt its reputation. Look, fake cards run rampant online. People they will use fake pictures. And look, whenever I was selling cards on eBay, I would probably take some of the worst pictures imaginable. I'm not even going to lie. I would probably take some of the worst pictures imaginable when I'm really trying to focus on getting a good picture of the card. But then you have my feet on the floor, showing off. And which kind of made me mad because I'm over here putting pictures of beautiful looking cards with my feet for free. That's some bullshit, man. I'm over here giving you guys fan service and then you're just only paying $1 or $2 for the raw card, but you're getting raw feet on it? Like, come on, man. And I see all these people making money out of foot picks and I was here doing it for the value of $1, $2 modern raw cards. It pisses me off. But one solid point that he does have, if you're going to be looking for certain cards, please be patient. Don't Don't give yourself a deadline like, oh, I need to submit by the end of this month, so I need to make sure I have this amount of copies so I can get the best one. Look for it, take your time, do whatever you can to see it in person. Because yes, like you said, the cards, you can go ahead and take screenshot of the pictures on eBay and then use stuff like the card grading calculator to go ahead and do the centering to see if it's within the centering standards of either tag or PSA. You can look at the corners or the edges to see if there's any whitening or any white dots. But the only thing that sometimes these phones will not catch are going to be like print lines. It might not be scratches or surface damage, or even dings, like certain like pressure points. And that is going to hurt you guys. So like even then, like yes, eBay is a more improved method of buying cards online. It's not going to be the best because there's going to be a lot of things that a camera will not be able to capture, that the sophisticated technology that Tag AI system uses to scan cards will. So look, please understand that even if you do all these things, you're patient, you scan the cards, or like you screenshot, measure the centering, you do whatever, you zoom in, everything you possibly can, connect your computer to a bigger screen to really dissect the information, you still might get screwed. So please understand that it's a better option, a more friendlier option if you're really out in the remote boonies places of all places, right? But just understand, it's not going to be the best way. Now let's go ahead and get to the last point, or the last way to source cards, and this one should be pretty expected.
All right. So number 3 and the final one, this is going to be the best option, but it can still be a difficult option. And what that's going to be is your local LGS or LCS. So every store is going to be different. Some stores will be bad because that store is like very on top of things. Maybe they grade cards, they sell graded cards. Maybe they do group submissions, where they have some of the community in that area goes to that local game store and they do group submissions where they bring their cards in, and then the whole store can, get a bulk discount or whatever they do. And maybe some of these stores, right, they'll pre-grade your cards and be like, oh, I think this will get a 9 or this will get a 10 or whatever. Those are not the LGSs you want to hunt for cards at, because those are the LGSs that are doing submissions. So if they get in a card, if they buy a card from somebody who just ripped it, came in, they traded it in so they can get something, they look at that card. If they see it that it's a 10, they see dollar signs. So they're not putting that card in the case, in the glass case to sell, to people. They're putting that card in the back to send off to grading, to then come back to then sell to people at a premium. So those aren't the LGS or LCSs you want to hunt cards at. What you want to do is you want to go to like the old-timey LGS. Like I have one a couple cities over. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's owned by a really old dude who's been in the game forever. He's like a sports cards dude who's been in the game forever. And then, somewhere in like the mid 2000s, he started selling Pokemon and stuff like that, like in the Sun and Moon era. And so he's been selling Pokemon and stuff like that. So now his whole store does sports, it does all that, TCGs and everything. But he's not on top of things. He's not, online 24/7. That's a nice store to go in there. People will come in, they'll rip packs, they'll bring in their cards, they'll trade them in or whatever, and he'll price them, he'll throw them in the case, and I can be, rest assured that this dude just isn't into the grading scene, doesn't know anything about all that. He's just a simple, older dude into sports, and that's, my target store for something like that. Now, a caveat to this is card shows. Card shows are fun. They're huge. There's tons of stuff there. There's grails. Card shows are great. But it's to my belief that most vendors at card shows, they're also graders. So are they going to sell you gradable cards? Now, yeah, sometimes you can, especially if you're looking at the lower echelon of graded cards. One of the things that I like to do is I like to grade cheaper cards. Cards that I find, there's the Pikachu, not the Rainbow Rare, but just the basic VMAX Pikachu from Vivid Voltage. I was getting these cards for between $2 to $4 a piece. I was grading them and I was selling them for like $70. Now, that might not sound crazy to you or whatever, but this is when I was grading cards for like $18 or whatever. So $18 plus $2 to $4, and then I'm selling these things for like $70. And my gem rate was high because I was buying cards for $2 to $4. So it's easy to not get emotional. You look at the card and you're just like, nope, nope. And then you can just turn around. And if you buy a card on eBay, I'm going back to eBay now. If you buy a card on eBay or even in person, and then you decide, you know what, this isn't gradable, then just sell it. If you realize with Pokemon, everything's always going up. So if you just hold on to something for even sometimes a couple of weeks, you already get your full money back, even after fees and everything. But if not, you basically sell it back for the same price. You might lose 10% on fees, but you're saving yourself money by not being emotional and sending it in and getting a 9 and blowing the money on grading fees. And now you're losing even more money. You know what I mean? So if you buy a card and you decide it's not a 10, just sell it back, cut your losses, because every one that you get back that is a 10, you're going to tenfold your money. You see? So tenfolding your money is 1,000%. eBay fees are 13%. You know what I mean? So just make it make sense. But a couple of tips for the vending shows is that a tip would be to go on the first day of the show and go in the morning. Walk the floor, try to be like one of the first people in, walk the floor, because what's going to happen is that first day they're going to get a lot of foot traffic. People are going to pick up the pristine quality cards if they are out there, which I'm sure there's some out there. So there's going to be good quality cards and they're going to get picked up. So if you show up midday, if you show up later in the day, everything's already been gone through. Most everything's been picked up. Now you might say, well, hey, people sell their cards to the vendor. That's also true. So I would say another tip is to go the second day, also early in the morning, because yeah, there's some vendors that will buy a card and then turn around and just throw it back in the case. But sometimes if the shows are busy, just depending on how it's going, if the shows are busy, if they're like a one-man table or whatever, they may just put the cards that they buy aside. And then overnight or the next day in the morning before the show opens, they'll get around to restocking their table and doing everything like that. So I would just say the first thing in the morning is one of the best times to go about it. So those are my 3. So that's my sourcing plans in 2026. The best is the LGS in person. You don't need pictures. You can see the card for yourself and make your decision there. The second is the mid option is going to be eBay, because there's just so many cards there all day, every day, and you can sort different ways and everything like that. And even if you buy cards that you turn out to not be a 10 in your opinion, you can just list them back up and you can just kind of go through it. And then the last option and the worst option, in my opinion, is going to be TCGplayer, because getting a 10 off of TCGplayer is just very low odds and it's just not the smart thing to do. I hope this helped out. Tag Shill out.
All right, well, let's clap it up. Honestly, I think Tag Chill did a fantastic job in that segment. Let's re-hit it. He thinks, or he believes, and there's nothing wrong with this, absolutely nothing wrong, but he believes that the best place to source cards is going to be in person at either shops or vending shows. And honestly, I would agree. That's probably going to be the best place that you can do it. Because you get to see the cards, you can visually inspect, look for like centering issues, look for whitening, edging issues, right? So this is going to be the best time, or this is going to be the best area where you can actually physically source cards, right? But in my perspective, that's true, absolutely true. But what shops do you go to? Do you go to the OG shops, or do you go to the new shops that are popping up in your area? The OG shops already have built-in reputations, right? So they don't necessarily need like a ever revolving door of Pokemon inventory. So some of these shops might not be buying at high percentages, but maybe a lot of people are not going there because they're going into these newer shops. Like, these newer shops have to find different ways of making money so they can go ahead and compete against all these other shops here in their same city. So either they have to be very aggressive in buying cards from the public, right? They have to have decent cash payouts. They have to have decent cash payouts, right? which means they're going to be getting more hands on actual cards. They can inspect cards themselves, and they can go ahead and take the better cards for themselves to go ahead and grade with either company, whether it be with Tag or PSA, right? So maybe right now, this is not going to be a beneficial move for Tag because they're halting their mass grading. And, I think the more exposure that Tag does have, like out in shops, the beneficial for Tag rating for itself, right? So this might kind of hurt it, right? But like honestly, this is also kind of one of the worst times because now you're having like little group mentality in Instagram and social media that boycott PSA, right? Let's go Tag, but then all of a sudden Tag takes away the most accessible grading and prices. Like yo, what are we doing? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? Is like Tag really trying to succeed, right? Or are they trying to fucking do this business 101 in rank mode? It's an interesting tactic. Like, I understand though, they don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity to capitalize on this social media movement, and it's the worst time. So we're gonna see like crazy ass numbers probably on CGC and Beckett all over again because that's the only that's literally the only way. As for the month of May, going into the month of May, this is funny, right? So that's insane. Anyways, okay, so either do you source cards at OG shops or new shops? Now you look at conventions, big conventions in your cities or in your towns. Well, you're probably gonna have people who have already been vending for a good enough time, who might have already been grading too. So vending in big conventions, the vendors will probably get hands on a lot of cards as well and be picking out the best copies. So if you're looking to grade some of the big chases of the modern era, you're you're probably cooked in that area. Don't even try to buy the big chase cards, right? I think where Tag Shill did mention that he likes to grade some of these smaller cards, right? $1 to $5 buy-in, but you can sell them for like $80 to $100. Those are pretty good margins in bulk to do, and you can make some moves there, especially now that right now the Mega Evolution era is not super hot. All the attention is Ascended Heroes. There's a lot of money potentially that you can make on small plays, whether it be like underrated promos, whether it be like Gen 1 cards that haven't picked up over $5. You can make money here during this time. But Tag is not taking rating, right? But nonetheless, I think this is a fantastic time to like maybe capitalize and find those cards, like so you can grade. Look for $1 to $5 cards with strong ties to Gen 1 and promotional cards. And if we're talking about like maybe even like fan favorite Pokemon, or do like the big brain play moves, right? We know that we have a Rayquaza sweat set coming up in the future, and usually all Rayquaza products goes up in price. So maybe buy the cheap Rayquaza cards or the cheap dragon cards. We got Mega Lucario set coming up in the future. Maybe go after some Lucario cards, right? There's a big reason why that Lucario promo card from Crown Zenith is kind of getting pumped because of the future Lucario set, right? Even the Mega Lucario with Bulbasaur, that one's kind of getting pumped up. The price is going up there, so maybe look for cards like that. You can make some margins there. Now, if you're looking for big chase cards that you want to go ahead and grade, whether if it's through Tag, because you still got the priority and express shipping available, so it's going to be pricey, but if you're going to be paying that big price that's still available through Tag, you have to go with big chase cards, right? Go to the small local vending shops or vending conventions, the ones that are popping out in your local parking lots. There's no entry fee. You're probably only going to have like maybe like 10 to 15 tables. Those might be the good ones for you to go, right? Because that's where the small people who want to try vending will go, and the only way they probably have inventory is going to be from their PC. So they might have some grills there that you might be able to capitalize on. So go to those shops, try to go early, and try to look for the best chase cards there. Like look around the tables real quick, find them out, and then really look into it. you can probably make some money there too. It's more aggressive. They're more of a big risk, right? But if you're really into the grading and you really want to make money, you have to do that. You have to hit the big chase cards, especially with tag with no upcharge. You can make some money there, but it's like big balls. Don't be pendejo about it. Like, be smart. Don't fuck it up. Like, think about it. No, but honestly, I this was it was a great conversation, kind of like having with Tag Chill. Like, I love it when he sends me his perspectives, and we can go ahead and talk a little bit about it more for the general public. Like, he has his stance, I have my stance, and we're not fighting, right? But this is just having a conversation between different kinds of collectors. Um, but yeah, look, Tag's pause on the standard and regular submission is probably gonna hurt it right now. Especially, it might hurt it right now, but it also might build anticipation when people really want to go ahead and grade. We're probably going to see a big bump in tags or graded cards in the future. We'll see a big bump, right? But and whenever we see, we're probably going to see a lot more influx of, like, probably possibly tens, because I do see a lot more people sourcing the right way, taking time to, like, source really good copy cards, whether if it's of current hits or sleeper plays, especially like the grading market. I think like the grading market is there for tag. It's just like it has to happen. Like, it has to happen, but an influx of more volume. Um, because I do feel like right now a lot of people who are grading with tag are actually collectors, and I think that's fantastic for the hobby. I think a lot more people are really who grade with tag is for their personal collection. I mean, that's the case with my stuff. Most of my the things that I grade with tag is not big money plays. It's collection cards. But I'm not gonna lie, I thought about, like, okay, what cards can I flip? Because I flipped a good amount of cards too, so I can keep doing this hobby for fun, right? But yeah. Anyways, just let me know what you guys think. Whether, I mean, like, you honestly, if you think the temporary suspension of the cards it's gonna hurt it. Let me know where you think is the best way to source gradable cards, whether if it's going to be to TCGplayer, whether if it's going to be through eBay, whether if it's going to be in shops. Another way that you can probably source gradable cards for tag is crossing some CGC tents to tag. There's another content creator called, like, 2 pack a day or something like that, pack a day, where they're crossing a lot more cards from CGC to tag, and for the most part, they're doing good. You can even maybe do that with PSN, like do cross grading through tag. Maybe look into it. Like, there's more creators talking about it, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty time in the hobby. But hey, thank you. I really do hope that you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.